number 4 from this past Friday night with Mark and Brendan. It's going to be a lot of fun. And of course, on King of the Nerds, they're talking about movies all the time, like Indiana Jones. And if you love movie podcasts as well, check out the Film Vault here on Podcast One. Here's a short promo, and then it's time to talk King of the Nerds on Rob as a Podcast. Yeah, Film Vault.
Week in, week out, we help you navigate through what's out there in the theaters,
On the Film Vault.
as well as what's streaming in a house near you, preferably your own.
Would you call the Film Vault a life-changing experience listening to it?
I think it's mildly amusing,
Mildly amusing and life-changing?
as well as life affirming.
Okay, I like that. So have your life changed, affirmed, and be mildly amused on the Film Vault.
We do it for Mango every week on Podcast One.
O-N-E, that's O-N-E. Coming to you live from my apartment, it's Rob Has a Podcast, and now here's the guy who's all hopped up on Warrior Drink Prune Juice. Rob Cesternino, hello everybody, and welcome to our King of the Nerds wrap up for episode number 4 of season number 3 of King of the Nerds, and here I am, joined by my esteemed panel of nerd experts. First off, we have a man who has accumulated the collected works of Moby at his house. Here's Mr. Brendan Noel.
Oh my god, you would not believe all the Moby memorabilia I have.
Yes.
Unbelievable. An entire room dedicated solely to those 22 million albums that figure cited, all purchased by me.
Wow.
Little known fact.
Wow. How about that? And also joining us tonight, he is a man who knows all things about King of the Nerds and Little Caesars. Here he is. It's Mark Solera.
Like Little Caesars, I am hot and ready.
Hot and ready. Ready to go.
I'm ready to go. Let's
Yeah. Stay tight, because we're still hot. Yeah. All right. So we are ready to talk about an episode. I think this was a really, really strong episode.
I thought it had its fun moments, although I suppose I can actually be the voice of dissension, I guess. I thought this was actually somewhat of a sloppy episode and probably my least favorite of the season. So we can get into that.
Let's go.
Ooh.
Yeah, let's talk about
Mark,
it.
where are you on this?
I really enjoyed this episode.
Enjoyed it. Okay. So Brendan, much like his hero Moby, is being a real Moby Dick about this.
Absolutely.
Yes.
That'll be my role tonight.
Yes. Good. Yes. We are like I'm like gym class heroes, and Mark, you're like Lisa Loeb.
I have the figure for it to be Lisa Loeb, so this is perfect.
The figure?
Yeah.
It's the same body type as Lisa
Exactly.
Loeb? Yes.
I can vouch for that.
Mark says, okay. So let's get into talking about this show tonight. Our top story at this hour, Ori. It's all over for Ori.
I'm so sad about this. I thought Ori was like one of the last great remaining characters of the season in terms of quirks. Anyway, I'm really bummed about this, and maybe that was part of the reason I came down a little negative on this episode. I was really sad to see Ori go.
It was the last crusade for Ori tonight.
Was this this is our curse? I mean, we said this last week that he was like going to be our favorite character. He's this new personality, and then he goes the next week.
Yeah,
So
that's true. Ori is gone. Did you think the edit was setting us up for a Colby demise, Brendan?
Oh, absolutely. That was the thing I couldn't believe. I felt like the entire episode, I feel like from the very first moment where Colby was talking about, growing up in the streets, which I feel was also kind of like a little bit like a sloppily edited thing, I don't know, that was I felt like classic good episode editing you see on Survivor.
Yeah.
I thought right up until the last minute, Colby was going home, and in his confessionals at the end of the episode, he felt like he was slouching in his chair, his arms were folded. He was more checked out than Moby was in that challenge, and I was shocked that he ended up pulling that out. That was crazy.
It was a swerve. They threw you off. Mark, did you get tricked?
I got tricked. I was for a good, let's say, the last 10 minutes of that episode, I literally thought we were probably going to lose one of the biggest threats in the house.
Yeah.
Yet he survived.
Yeah, I thought just the way that they were talking about the narration of that scene, and Brendan, you alluded to Colby's body language, but even the way they were talking about it was like, okay, well, Colby's got this, and then he buzzes in, and then he doesn't have it, and they go to commercial. I thought it was going to be Colby. I thought it was going to be like one of these upset stories, but that has not been the case this season. There has not been too many upsets in these nerd offs.
No, not really. This is the first time, at least, the editing has kind of, and in which we as viewers have been upset. Really, the writing's been fairly clearly on the wall the last 3 episodes, and like you said, real hard left turn here at the end.
So the Nerd War tonight was the return of the Nerd Anthems. Mark, how pumped up were you for Nerd Anthems?
I have been spending the last week listening to season 1's Nerd Anthems in just pure excitement to finally have these, like, one of my favorite challenges come back.
Yes. Brendan, and yourself?
Oh, very excited for Nerd Anthems as well, and maybe I set my expectations a little too high, but I was largely disappointed with the 2 anthems we got tonight, and maybe that was, again, part of the reason why I was not so keen on this episode.
Brendan, it was kind of a little hard to live up to season 1 when we have things like Virgil's, like, sexy singing in the
It is true. I mean, obviously we can get into it in a bit, but I felt like, I mean, I even rewatched that just before we started recording, and I feel like they did a better job of costuming in that season, and so we can get into that. But I was not super impressed with tonight's showing.
Were either of you guys disappointed that neither team scored their anthem to the tune of La Cucaracha?
Always. Well, I mean, the fact that nobody even took this into consideration, that would be my very first thought in Nerdmon if we were writing a song.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you could legally do that. I hear it's not legal.
I'm sure it's an expensive song, like Happy Birthday.
Yeah. All right, so the episode really started off with, first we said goodbye to Todd. Everybody put the stuff back. They are putting a item on the mantle to commemorate each of the people that as they pass along from the game when they're killed at the end of each episode. So we commemorated them with a snake, and really we came full circle with the snakes to remember Todd, and then ultimately in the Indiana Jones challenge, Brendan.
Snakes. I don't like snakes.
Yeah, why did it have to be snakes?
I know. Wasn't that a fitting tribute, though, to have these little Horcruxes? It's like the shrine to Cappy on Big Brother. So much.
11:30, lights out, bitches. Yes,
I'm still crying.
It was lights out for Todd. And so we got to calling all the nerds, and we went outside, and all these cameos tonight. Mark, were you excited to see this?
I was excited to see my best friend and friend of the podcast, Zach, make a return.
Yes, Zach Storch.
And as Heather alluded to in her confessional, people were quite scared to see Zach back, but Zach seemed to be in a good mood tonight.
Yes, he was pumped up.
No, I don't think he was ready to go after anybody tonight. He was just there to sing his song and have a good time.
I was disappointed he didn't get a confessional. They gave him to Brian.
I think that Brian footage was from last season.
Yeah, it seems like the last.
I think that was some archival footage the editors were just having a little fun with.
Well, why not use any of that stuff?
They really should. I mean, I feel like you've got hours and hours of these Zach confessionals. You find a way to work them in,
make a new one. Get a new one. Get him in the chair.
I think that's fair. I think probably what they're thinking is, we want it to be about the new cast, and these people had their moment, and this cameo was probably they thought was enough. But yeah, I think we all would have liked to see the return of people like Zach and Xander and Genevieve, of course.
Yeah, but when they bring people back on Big Brother, where it's like Jeff and Jordan come into the backyard and do something, and then we get them in the diary room like oh my god, I can't believe what's going on in this house. These people are crazy. We get something like that, but we wasted them.
I would prefer that in terms of confessionals. My reality shows not aspire to the level of Big Brother.
Yes.
To each their own, Rob.
Yeah. Yes. All right. So we got to see everybody come out for the Nerd Anthem, and we were very pumped up about that. And so we needed to write and perform in front of the nerd music community. Now, who are all these people that come to these things? Mark, do you have any idea?
I have no freaking clue.
Yeah, I didn't know either. I mean, the first row was basically like those 6 people we saw, the 8 people we saw come back for the challenge, and then there were maybe like 8 or 9 rows of people behind them. But like you could see the way they had set up the stage for the judges to sit on, like that itself blocked like 10 rows behind them, and then there were like another 10 empty rows from like not a very big auditorium. So yeah, even like the people they did get to show up, they didn't try very hard to fill the place. So they clearly were kind of desperate for anybody.
Yeah, I was impressed though. I wouldn't think that, it's hard to get audiences for TV shows. And I feel like King of the Nerds doesn't have a huge budget to be able to pay people to sit and watch that. So people came out, I guess, from somewhere.
I I'm sure it was a busy lunch hour for people who worked like at TBS headquarters in Los Angeles. She's like, all right, if we pay for your lunch, will you come sit in the audience and watch Nerd Anthems? Like, okay.
Yeah, Moby will be there.
Ooh, Moby, my favorite.
Yeah, Moby and Lisa Loeb and the guy from Gym Class Heroes.
Yeah, who knew he had nerd cred?
I didn't know that.
You guys didn't know this? One of his albums, I believe, like it was in like 2007, 2008. All the songs had like first period and then the song title, second period song title, lunch break song title. So he might have had the most nerd cred out of all three of the judges.
I'm not buying that.
Yeah.
I'm not buying really any of the nerd cred from the judges this week, actually.
Yeah, well, why not?
It was not really explained what, I mean, again, we were kind of told a lot about how, Moby's the preeminent nerd. And I mean, I again, a Moby enthusiast here. I don't know much about Moby's nerd cred. And we talked, they kind of justify I feel like they could have gotten away with justifying Lisa Loeb being there simply musically, but like they try to throw this thing about how she was the voice of Mary Jane on the failed MTV Spider-Man reboot, which was very odd, but okay, whatever works for you.
Brendan, do you not miss the fact, clear as day, Lisa Loeb has glasses?
It's true. Well, you know what? Credit where credit's due. You got me there. She has the glasses. She has the Amanda glasses. It's how much more nerdy can you get?
Yeah. And I thought Moby did come across as pretty nerdy. I think that Moby definitely had the nerd street cred.
Oh, he came across nerdy. He was definitely very nitpicky in the nerdy references in their songs. I just felt like they tried to introduce him as this face of nerddom, and I'm not buying it, Bobby.
Okay. That's fine. All right. So we had to get together and put these songs together, and really for Team Smash, we saw that Colby really emerged, and I like to use this term even though it's from The Apprentice, but it applies here. Colby was certainly project manager, and was treated as such by basically the team all the way around, where they basically said, look, let's back off, let's let Colby do his thing. If we win, great. If we lose, we know he's going into the nerd off anyway.
Yeah, that was good planning by them, and I mean, I also don't see why it didn't benefit Colby. I mean, he knew he was the person to step up to this challenge because of his Scottish rap roots, of course.
Yes. Mark, did you know Colby had a background in rap?
I must have missed it when I was watching Jeopardy.
Yes.
Well, it's interesting. He referenced in his casting video that he apparently has adopted the nickname Swaggy C. I don't know if this is a nickname he gave himself.
Swaggy C.
Maybe Alex Trebek gave him this nickname. We really don't know.
Yes.
He called Swaggy C, apparently.
Swaggy C, you control the board.
Can we start calling each other like Swaggy R and Swaggy D?
I'm in favor of that, yes.
That would be confusing. We need other words instead of swaggy.
Well, we can brainstorm on that.
Okay. So I liked also when Colby told Heather to spit it.
Like I said, he's got cred. He's legit.
Yeah. Okay, Brendan, I'd like to know from you, what's the way to approach this task? You come up with lyrics, like you come up with okay, what's the nerdy lyrics, and let me try to fit it into the song, or do you work from a concept and then write lyrics as you go?
I feel like the strategy for this is what always wins these challenges. I feel is if the song is catchy, if it's memorable. So I feel like songwriting probably not the way to do it is like starting with music and adding words. But I think the way to go was write lyrics, try to find like start with a chorus of some kind that has some kind of idea. From there, you kind of expand to lyrics, and it doesn't, those can be, it doesn't have to be A+ material you're bringing to the table, but then I feel like it's very easy to just, whatever your lyrics are, you put music in and you create a catchy song from that. I actually thought it was interesting that Smash decided to go with the rap angle because the rapping angle was what won Team Servants of the Forsaken Horde this task back in the first season, even though tonight they opened with Blackstrophe's song Talk Nerdy to Me, which I agree was arguably more catchy and of course was also a song rather than just a rap.
Mark, as a musician, do you agree that that's the right approach?
How you win this challenge is you want to grab the audience and have them basically singing along. I mean, Moby had said this. He said that Team Smash's lyrics weren't as catchy as Team Hula Hoop's. So to me, that was the biggest factor, and it's clear when you turn on the radio. Most of the songs that get in your head are the catchy lyrics and the catchy songs. So yeah, I would say that's the case.
So this played out exactly like the jingle task with Bud Light on The Celebrity Apprentice a couple of weeks ago, where it was Lisa Gibbons had like the lamer song that they kept saying like nice over ice, and they said that like over and over again, and then Randy Glanville had like a better song, but it was like the words were just like like it was like nobody really knew what they were saying, even though it was probably a better song, and the whole team got fired. It really was. Keep it simple.
Exactly. That was the killer for both teams tonight. Was like they were so just stuffing lyrics in with references, and it makes like it was funny. The only like real part of either song that I found kind of interpretable in any sense without the bouncing karaoke lyrics at the bottom was in Team Hulu's song when Lily kind of had this like rapid fire string of sort of nerd monikers, and other than that, I felt like they were so working hard to put in all these nerd references that they were singing too fast, they were rapping too fast, and nobody could make out what they were saying. Ben kind of stole every thought I had about the team Smash performance, just in terms of how just really sloppy their performance ended up being.
Yeah, if you were watching the show with your eyes closed and couldn't follow the like what would the fox say type of chyron on the bottom of the screen, then you would have had no idea what either team was saying.
No, not a chance.
Especially Team Smash, though.
No, exactly. And when I was watching this, I tried to close my eyes for part of it, and I got like two, lines in, and I realized like, nope, I got to open my eyes because I don't know what they're saying. So
yeah,
I was tweeting, so I really couldn't see anything.
I thought it was funny that because they had the past contestants in the first row, they had a couple of shots to them like trying to sing along, but it was clearly like they got into like a repetitive part of a song, and they kind of picked up on what it was, and so that was like, okay, we have like two moments the editors can use of like, yeah, the songs are great, we're getting into it.
Yeah. Did tonight's episode make either of you guys want to dial up some Little Caesars to watch the show?
Every episode of Peanut the Nerds makes me want to dial up Little Caesars, except Little Caesars does not deliver because, of course, the pizza at Little Caesars is always hot and ready.
Yes. Oh, they don't deliver? You have to go pick it up?
You gotta go pick it up, otherwise it's not hot and ready.
Oh my god.
Hot and ready pizza, Rob.
Hot and ready. So I gotta leave the house? I gotta put pants on?
It's not an ideal situation for anybody, but it's worth it.
Yes. Does it help if you wear a outfit that matches the pizza box?
Always does. They will comment on it.
Yeah, I'm doing that right now.
Yeah. I changed. I'm gonna go ahead and try to match the Little Caesars. So, why didn't they incorporate Little Caesars? It seems weird that they do it here, and then when it was Ancient Civilization Week 2 weeks ago, we didn't really make a big push with Little Caesar.
It's kind of odd when they decide to work the tie-ins in. I mean, sometimes it is, like, I think last season, usually it's a competition where they're doing, like, prep for the nerd debate. They'll have Curtis pop in and say, we've got piping hot Little Caesars waiting for you, and you'll have a 30-second scene where they sit around eating Little Caesars. One of my favorite episodes from last season was where one of the challenge rewards was that the winning team got to have dinner with a bunch of the returning cast members from the Revenge of the Nerds movie, and this fabulous dinner they had brought in for them was a Little Caesars pizza.
Yes, that's delicious.
Hot and ready. They'll deliver to Nerdvana. You have to live at Nerdvana, otherwise no delivery.
Okay. So, we also saw a little bit of a feud developing between Rachel and Lily, even though it didn't quite go anywhere. Mark, do we think this is foreshadowing of a bigger feud for down the line?
I mean, I think a lot of this episode had foreshadowing for things that are going to happen later down the line.
Coming storm.
Yeah, the coming storm. For example, I'm sure we're going to talk about this later, but the thought process about Jonathan and like his whole, I'm going to go with this alliance, that alliance, and then, like you said, Lily and Rochelle, like their feud of who wanted to be basically the Beyonce of this song and like sing out. There is a lot of foreshadowing, and I'm actually really confused about all the different alliances. Brendan, I believe you said this on Twitter, but I kind of want to go back to the point where they were just talking about their percentages.
Yeah, the alliance talk for me eventually got a little overwhelming with them there, but yes, we can get into that.
We'll break it all down.
Let's break it all down.
We got to get through the nerd war, and then we'll talk alliances. All right, so meanwhile, Team Huluvu had Melinda, the choreographer, Melinda was a good choreographer.
Yeah, she was. I thought it was a good strategy of kind of coming in and knowing the group you're working with. You know, this is not like, I don't even know. Maybe I don't know. Maybe Dance with the Stars doesn't work their contestants any harder than the choreographers are working the nerds here. But I felt like it was good of them to realize, like, okay, there's not professionals. We're just going to teach you something relatively simple, something that is easy to remember, and you'll be good to go. I did not, in my criticisms of the Nerd Anthem performances, I don't think any of them had to do with choreography.
Now, what's this about Caitlyn here, Mark, that all of a sudden she's like the center of the attention? Has all of these success in the Nerd Off gone to Caitlyn's head?
I guess I can't call her a game bot anymore. She's showing off a little personality.
Yeah. Wow, look at her. And yeah, I got the sense that not only was she like liking being the center of the attention, she liked sort of having Ben with her. Like, you know, we have with these two other women on the team, they're giving Ben all the attention, and it was like she got to be the one dancing with Ben in the show, and I think she liked that.
Suddenly they're the nerd power couple in the house.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah, the problem with Caitlyn is we've clearly seen you know, on a normal day, Caitlyn has a big head, so coming off 2 back-to-back victories, you know, I'm sure her head is the size of her head is off the charts.
Okay. Well, we get to when we go into the battle, and Colby gives us a quote. He says, you know, sure, he's a target because he wrote the song, but you don't have to worry about being a target when you have the gun. Ouch.
He's like I said, he is too legit to quit.
All right. So, what is the name of the guy that was from Gym Class Heroes?
Travie McCoy.
Travie McCoy. All right. So there's Travie. There's Lisa Loeb, and here is Moby. But there's a little question with Ori if he's going to be able to do the lip syncing. Now, I don't know if any of the lip syncers were quite as good as Natalie Anderson, but what did you guys think about the lip syncing overall? I'll start with Bart.
I didn't expect much coming into this challenge, especially with Team Smash. The lip syncing wasn't exactly what I expected. At least sell it to me. Like, we're going to talk about this in a little bit, but there's one person on Team Hoovaloo who really sold it with his face, and as a performer, that's what really captivates an audience. Like, sell it to me. You don't have to be good. You don't have to lip sync like properly or whatever. Just sell it. And I didn't think Smash really did do that well.
Brendan, I wanted to remind you in my notes that if you forget the words in the podcast at all tonight, just keep saying watermelon bubblegum, watermelon bubblegum.
Thank you. That was very helpful. I forgot before we started the podcast, actually, I wanted to bring you guys in and just say, like, guys, we are going to effing kill this, okay? we are going to win this.
Yes.
I'm glad you guys feel that way about the lip syncing, because I remember I was watching this on my laptop and was wondering if maybe just the streaming and the buffering was making it look weird. But I remember when they started looking at Caitlyn really took center stage in her team's performance, and I thought, like, the lip syncing is noticeably rough here.
Yes, it is. I'd like to see somebody attempt to lip sync an episode of Rob's podcast.
Well, that would be a challenge. Here's the stipulation. You get to pick the episode, and please pick the 4-hour Tyson cast.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Well, another person needs to lip sync Tyson also.
Oh, wait, well, it could be a two-person job.
Okay, so after Team Smash goes, they get judged by the judges. Okay, and first off, it doesn't go well. Travie starts off. He says, you know, he's trying to be like the Randy Jackson. He's like, yeah, I liked it. I wish I could have heard the lyrics a little bit more. And you know, Lisa is clearly in the Paula seat. She's like, yeah, that's good enthusiasm. That was pretty good. And then we get to Moby, and Moby is clearly the Simon Cowell of King of the Nerds. Let's talk about what Moby's comments were. Brendan, do you have them in detail? What Moby's criticisms are? Let's take them point by point.
Well, Moby's criticisms primarily dealt with the fact that they were scientifically inaccurate, I believe.
Come on, Moby.
Yeah, was there a Newtonian problem that he had with one of the lyrics, and you know, of course, Jonathan and Heather particularly tried to defend themselves.
Yeah. I mean, I know it's a nerd competition, but really, you have to be literal in the songs. It's like, if the Beatles sing 8 days a week, it's like, I'm sorry, Mr. Lennon, but there's only 7 days in a week. So it would be mathematically impossible for you to love somebody 8 days a week, and thus that invalidates your claim. So I'm sorry.
There goes Zedediah Hapkinson's next criticism.
They're factually inaccurate. I mean, like, who pissed in Moby's cereal this morning, Mark? Why did he show up like being so negative?
It wasn't. Did he make a statement about like reading something in Klingon? Like, I'm pretty sure Brennan.
Yeah, he said, I don't think that it was a Shakespeare play.
It was
I don't think it was actually, I don't think Hamlet's been translated into Klingon.
Yes.
And it's like, thank you, Moby, for telling us that.
Yes. Now, I don't know if that necessarily is the case. I know in Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country, there's quite a bit of quoting Shakespeare in Klingon. And I do think that Shakespeare in Klingon is a thing. Even though I think that, who is it? Is it Caitlin or Heather that says it can't be a thing?
I think it was Heather? Yeah, was it Amanda? I don't know. I think it was Heather.
If we Google that, I'm pretty sure that is a thing of Shakespeare Klingon.
Brendan, I forgot that we were speaking to one of the foremost experts on Star Trek.
No.
I was going to say, if Nicole still listened to Rob as a podcast, this would be the part we should turn the show.
Yeah, well, if you think Nicole is ever listening to not only 30 minutes into any podcast, but a 30 minutes into King of the Nerds podcast, you are crazy.
You mean this isn't her favorite show?
Yes, you are lost. So according to Wikipedia, Klingon Hamlet, which is a translation of Hamlet in Klingon, I believe, it does exist.
Wait, there's a Klingon Hamlet Wikipedia page?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, why don't I have
the impetus for this project came from a line in the motion picture Star Trek VI: The Undiscovered Country, in which Klingon Chancellor Gorkin stated, "You have not experienced Shakespeare until you have read it in the original Klingon." And he was a real piece of work, that guy. Chancellor Gorkin.
Rewriting history in Star Trek VI: The Undiscovered Country.
Yes. I believe the line Undiscovered Country comes from the Shakespeare.
How about that?
Yes.
More you know.
Very deep. Apparently Moby is a Trekkie.
I suppose that's his nerd bed.
Yes. What do you think about when Heather called out Moby, Mark?
God bless Heather.
Really?
God bless her.
She's great.
She's such good TV, and I actually thought that she had a very valid point, because it just really, you said it just a few minutes ago, he really just seemed to come in there with like, oh, I'm just gonna piss on whatever you guys say. Like, I'm gonna point this out. So yeah, I'm really glad that she stuck up for her team.
Yeah. I mean, it's like shades of back when, like, on American Idol, when people would be like, well, you know what, Simon, you don't know anything.
And they would go home.
Yeah, I feel like it's good for, like, in the room, it plays well, but I feel like the voters at home are like, oh, no, that's not good.
What was funny is that the Heather thing, it looked like Heather versus Moby looked like it was going to be setting up something a little bit bigger, and then it kind of fizzled out. I mentioned that I had just been watching some of the episodes from the first season before, and I went back and I watched the nerd debate from season 1, which of course spawned the infamous Genevieve versus Kevin Smith fight. Kevin Smith did not award her a point in her round of the nerd debate in season 1, and later on we see her crying, "Stupid Kevin Smith, and oh my god, I thought you were supposed to be cool," and she got very upset and worked about that, and that almost seemed to be the appropriate reaction to what might have happened tonight. Not that I'm saying that Heather is one to cry or get into a fight with Moby in front of 24 people, but it kind of fizzled out for me. It looked like it was going somewhere interesting. Heather certainly is trying to bring the goods in. It fizzled.
I love that Moby went back after her, though. Moby was like, do you really think that this is an appropriate attitude to take with a judge? Like, taking a contentious attitude with somebody before I've even judged you? Do you really think that's a good idea?
Now, again, Rob, you watch The Celebrity Apprentice and you see project managers, even taking that into consideration. Have you ever seen anybody take a role like King of the Nerds guest judge and let that power go to their heads so much?
Yeah, I mean, I find it odd for Moby to let the power trip go to his head. I mean, Moby is a guy who sold millions upon millions. Like, for instance, like, if they let, Zach from last season come back and be a guest judge, and he let that power go to his head, I said, okay, that's perfectly acceptable. But you have a guy who's like a superstar and somebody, whether you like his music or not, the guy is internationally known musician, and he's really like taking this King of the Nerds job very, very seriously. Like when they would bring in the guest judges on American Idol, like you rarely saw anybody come in and be like a real a-hole. I feel like Quentin Tarantino way back when. This is kind of like what that reminded me of with Chicken Little.
I'd entirely forgotten that Quentin Tarantino. Oh my god.
Yes. Yes. They should get Quentin Tarantino for this.
Why isn't he? I think he's a really great judge. I think that if the bar we're setting at is a judge who doesn't want to look like they're just waiting to go home, then let's get somebody better than Moby.
Look, let me tell you a thing or two, Team Smash. Do you really think that a Klingon, that if you mention watching a Shakespearean play in Klingon and then you haven't seen it, do you think I'm not going to call you out on that? What do you think?
Oh, I love it. New impressions.
There we go. The stretch for that one. All right. So, do you think it's appropriate to take a contentious attitude with me? And he says, if I'm a douchebag, tell me after I've judged. I'm sorry, it's still Quentin Tarantino. If I'm a douchebag, tell me after I judge, not before.
I mean, he was right, but at the same time, I think that no matter who was judging and who was being as big of a dick as Moby, that the Team Smash was kind of sunk from the get-go.
Yeah. All right, then Team Huluvu goes, and again, they just slowed it down. They made it so the audience could understand what they were saying. They had more of an interpretive dance, and they got much better reviews.
They did. I mean, they won unanimously from the judges. We didn't get one vote for Team Smash, which I guess is why they didn't pull the cut to commercial fake out that they've done for the last
they
few weeks.
listened to the podcast last week. They know that Brendan is on to them. That it's going to be first judge likes one team, second judge likes another team, and then third judge after the commercial break splits the tie.
Well, if you're reading my blogs, you know that I corrected Curtis's Twitter handle at the bottom of the screen last week. So they clearly are listening to the podcast and following all my blogs. I am the most influential creative force driving King of the Nerds as of late. So that's just the reality of this.
Did you go into Jebediah Rahapkinson for a second there?
Oh, did I? I might have. It's just it's like reflexive now, kind of. I get worked up.
Yes. So Travie got the Tingle Bunnies. Mark, have you ever gotten the Tingle Bunnies?
I get the Tingle Bunnies every week podcasting with you guys.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Please, it's a little personal.
90-10.
Yes. Yeah. So, and this is when Amanda of Team Smash is really starting to get annoyed because she did not like the message of the Team Huluvu song.
I mean, to be fair, it's a show called King of the Nerds. I mean, if you're gonna pander to anything about the show, it might as well be, hey, I'm gonna be talking about the show. I'm gonna be at Nerdvana, and to be fair, it's kind of a nerdy place.
Yeah.
So it makes sense to maybe include it in a song. I mean, in a week that's nerd anthems. So I didn't really get her gripe.
From an outsider's perspective, I can kind of understand what she was saying about, like, well, we're saying that we're all nerds, but it's almost like we're trying to make nerds this sort of prestigious club. It's not just a thing that, celebrating a uniqueness. But I also think that part of the message of the show is that nerds, the value that nerds bring is kind of universal. It can be translated that way, and it can be, we're socially accepting them. It's not that we're solely like putting them on a pedestal and realizing that they're not just like people we boss around and stuff, but they are people that we accept and make the world better. So from somebody who's not really watching the show, I doubt Lisa Loeb has her season pass set for King of the Nerds on Friday nights, but I think that the criticism was not valid in context, really.
Yeah, and Lisa Loeb did not care for the fact that everybody is a nerd. That's a select group. And then Moby, even though he established himself as the Moby Dick up there, his only major gripe was that all the nerd references were pop culture based, and he would have preferred some nerd references that were science based. Mark, how do you prefer your nerd references?
Science based? So like I'm actually really confused. Like, so he wanted the songs to basically be like
educational.
educational or something that you would have like your 7th grade science teacher try to like play to make sure that he seems cool. Like, is that what he wanted?
Yes.
What's funny is that when we saw Hulu preparing, we saw Lily saying something like, okay, we're trying to work in like scientific references about concentration and solubility, and Ben throws out, oh, what if we do this line about like ranting about Jar Jar? And they're like, it's kind of funny, we'll come back to that. And then we saw that line made the final version of the song.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know, it feels appropriate for the 40th anniversary SNL this weekend. 1999 called Ben, they want their Star Wars joke back.
It's funny. I wonder if Moby is a producer on the show this season, because whereas in the past I feel like that the nerd off challenges have been more pop culture based, while there was some Indiana Jones theme to this. This is the 3rd week in a row where things are much more general trivia than they are anything having to do with pop culture or nerd culture. So I feel like we're starting to maybe Moby has a lot of influence with the producers.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things I again touched on my blog, now up at robswebsite.com for your reading pleasure. That one of the things, like in last week's Nerd War with the Nerdgata, that was like an interesting. I mean, there's nothing nerdy about taping together cardboard and duct tape and racing them across the swimming pool. But what's interesting is like it takes scientific minds to think about what the best way to put those together is in terms of buoyancy and shapes of your crafts, as it were, and what's the best way to make sure they're not sinking by the end of it. And so that's kind of an interesting. I like seeing a challenge like that where it's little intellectual advantages that can push a team forward.
After the challenge is over and we see that Team Hulu is the winner, now it's time to start to politic and strategy. Ori is, I think he's trying to blame Heather a little bit that she can't control their mouth, but ultimately that doesn't really go anywhere.
No, not really. And like we were talking about last week, kind of as long as this Secret Six alliance is intact, nobody was really going to run with that anyway. And so I think that's probably why they did not bother wasting too much of the time in the edit this week trying to make it seem as though Heather was in any serious danger.
Yeah, and as Team Smash is trying to talk about what to do, so Colby is the threat according to Ben, and everybody on Team Smash is pretty much on the same page that it's going to be Colby. However, over on Team Hulu, Caitlin wants to send Amanda in, and nobody else is really on board with that.
No, I think that they were a little intimidated by her track record, or perhaps, unlike Caitlin, they were playing with their emotions and thinking maybe we don't send her in 3rd week in a row. One note on Colby I thought was interesting. I mean, again, it comes back to the kind of diplomacy of the throne room, that they were talking about how Colby is a threat and he wrote this great song, but they're forgetting that he wrote the great song that lost Team Smash the challenge unanimously.
It's a real Geraldo move.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh, he's such a great player, but he's on a team and he's losing. And so, ultimately, Caitlin is in an interesting spot here, because in the past, she was like, oh, it's so stupid, alliances, I don't even understand why would anybody play with alliances, I hate alliances. She is the one who gets suspicious about the alliance, and she ends up going out on her own to try to form a counter-alliance, and she goes to Jonathan and pitches herself, Colby, and Rochelle to Jonathan. What did we think about this, Brendan?
Interesting move. Again, my brain is kind of now working a little too hard to try and keep up with. It's like we need Brian Lynch to make us an alliance star for the season.
Yes.
And I mean, it's interesting that Caitlin is kind of finally clued in on the fact that, like, there could be alliances. Maybe the alliance is the way to go. And, again, I don't think that ultimately that really anything came about that. We could see next week that maybe that foursome is intact. Jonathan, at least heading to the Nerd Off, was very happy about his place, because he was saying that, basically if Ori goes home, he has an alliance with everybody in the house. So congratulations to Jonathan, because Ori went home and presumably he has an alliance with everybody in the house.
All right, Mark, let's rehash this. Who is in the Secret Six?
Okay, from Team Smash, we have Amanda, Heather, and Jonathan.
Amanda, Heather, Jonathan from Smash, okay?
From Team Hulu, we have Ben, Lily, and Rochelle.
Okay. So, all right, that's the Secret Six. Now, what we have going on here is that Caitlin is pitching to Jonathan, who's in the Secret Six, to make an alliance with herself, and Rachel, who's in the Secret Six, and Colby, who's not in the Secret Six.
Correct. So he has the alliance with the 5 other people, and now Rachel is the one overlap, but now there's 8 of them left, so these are the 2 other people that would presumably be in this alliance if this is actually going to be a real thing, which would be pretty tremendous spot for Jonathan to be in if that's the case.
Yeah, and who was made fun of last week for putting him as his number 1 guy?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know.
Over here.
Yes. Number one guy. Yeah, he's in a good spot right now, but a good spot could become a precarious spot, I think, also. For somebody who is not too savvy in the Alliance world, you could get caught up.
Again, jumping from week to week of, last week he's not so sure he wants to keep going with the alliance, and this week, I mean, it's just very fortunate that he that Caitlyn was the one to approach him, and again, we'll have to see next week if this really pans out into anything.
Yeah. And so, ultimately, we are going to have a lot of talk about Ori was going to be the person that Team Hulu wants to send into the Nerd Off to face off against Colby. And again, there's a little bit of talk of trying to swing maybe for Amanda, and Jonathan has a decision to make. All right, so let's weigh out the pros and cons of this. Mark, for Jonathan, to take out Amanda over Ori.
If you're taking out Amanda over Ori, you're taking out someone who, on paper and through the game, is a bigger threat. And if you're going to keep Ori, that means you're later on down the line, if Ori survives, you might have an easier shot at that $100,000 versus Ori. I mean, with Ori versus Amanda.
All right, but Brendan, what's the counter argument?
I can play devil's advocate if you want, but I don't really disagree. I mean, I think that I don't see really a reason to take out Amanda right now in a place where you're going to piss off 4 other people, whereas he kind of laid out the case perfectly for us in that keeping Ori around, if he thinks potentially that he's somebody who can win Nerd-Offs and keep himself alive, as he did tonight, but also someone that he potentially believes he could beat going forward, then that's the kind of person he wants around, and that's the strategy that he should be pursuing right now.
Yeah, it's too early. It's too early for this. You got Secret Six.
8 people left. He's in a perfect position. I feel like this is classic, like, Big Brother misdirection, where we've been watching the live feeds all week and 4 days of back and forth strategy, but they have to give us the kind of road package of like, well, I'm thinking maybe I want to do this, because they have to have just something for dramatic weight. And, we saw in the throne room where Jonathan was like, I considered for like a half second voting for Amanda, but then I realized that was probably the dumbest thing I could possibly do, so I decided not to.
All right, so when Team Smash votes, they vote Colby into the Nerd Off, and then we see ultimately Jonathan sticks to the plan and goes ahead and votes in Ori by unanimous decision. Ori votes for himself. Mark, is this King of the Nerds history?
If my memory serves me right, that is correct. And to be fair, I really think that this might be a really good move if Ori survived, because if he survives, he's not going to have any burned bridges in a way. Like, oh, you were the one person I was going to vote for. Yes, it's not there. So he actually made a pretty smart move if he already knew that no matter what, I'm going to go in.
Okay. I don't believe your memory does serve you right. I think last season this was a move that our friend Zach pulled, actually.
I should have remembered that.
You should have remembered that. Your best buddy.
My best friend.
Okay.
My bad.
All right. So we end up now, it's going to be Ori versus Colby in the Indiana Jones challenge, where we're going to put stuff in order. Brendan, what did you think about Ori's discussion about how he is a pacifist and all the stuff about him being a squire? He compares himself to both Mahatma Gandhi and Martin Luther King Jr. Which of these incredible figures is insulted more by Ori comparing himself to Gandhi or Martin Luther King Jr.?
Oh my God, that's a tough call. I'm gonna go with Gandhi. I think Gandhi has a little bit. I don't know. I think Gandhi. We're going further back with Gandhi. I think that. I think that. I don't know. Maybe in terms of influence of overall history, maybe we're gonna go with Gandhi.
Gandhi would be more annoyed about being compared to a LARPer on a season 3 of the Nerd Game Show.
Yeah. I think if Gandhi and Martin Luther King were watching King of the Nerds together on TBS on a Friday night and they were watching this, I think Gandhi would be the first one to say, "Oh, that's not cool."
Yeah, like
And plus, hold on. Ori has a pacifist, didn't he smash a bunch of buildings in the first episode? He has a violent side. He has a very violent side.
We don't know how many people were in those fake buildings.
well, for a full contact LARPer, he's a pacifist.
Yes.
Okay.
And a member of the Knights, not the Knights Watch, but the Knights Code or whatever
Something
it was.
like that.
Yes.
Mark, what is he talking about?
I have no idea.
I don't know either.
No idea.
One of the interesting points that I missed was when it was Ori versus Colby. Bobby mentioned internally, another guy is going to go home here. And Jonathan's wheels started to turn like, I am running into a bit of a buzzsaw, much like in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom on the conveyor belt. I'm going to be going right into this buzzsaw, and I am going to be split in half if I don't do something different. Brendan, do you think that Jonathan will change his strategy after this week?
It is possible. I mean, it's hard to tell from these promos that they show for the next episodes whether or not they're an indicator of what's actually going to happen. But I think we saw him in a confessional saying, Secret Six is done. But that could have been the same thing as last week when he just decided to say, I'm not so sure about the alliance. I think it's interesting that they had kind of Bobby just sort of clue them in and say, like, so, a lot of guys going home. What do we think about that, gentlemen? Are we thinking about that at all? Maybe we should start thinking about that, right, guys?
Right.
But was he wrong? I mean, let's skip ahead a little bit. Next week, technically one person from the Secret Six has to go into the Nerd Off. So technically the Secret Six actually might be done. So his thought process isn't wrong.
That's possible. So that could be some editing trickery.
Yeah.
All right, before we jump into the Nerd War, let me take a minute and thank our sponsor for this episode of Rob as a Podcast, and those are our friends over at NatureBox. Because, look, life is very hard and hectic when whether you're in a nerd competition or whether you're going through your daily life, and you don't want to be cranky and irritable like Moby. I bet that guy could have used the NatureBox. Maybe he would have been a nicer judge tonight.
Yeah, Travis McCoy was having his nature boxes. Moby, not so much.
Yes, absolutely. Don't get a pizza or crazy bread or any of that stuff because you're going to feel not so good afterwards. Instead, try NatureBox. No artificial flavors, colors, sweeteners, no grams trans fat, no high fructose corn syrup. So avoid getting into that afternoon slump and get some of this good stuff like the strawberry figgy bars, the dark cocoa almonds, the peanut butter nom-noms, all great stuff, pistachio power clusters. You get a chance to get a free NatureBox with a trial box featuring 5 of the most popular snacks. You heard me. It's not a secret 5. It's going to be a 5 snacks that you can have for yourself. Go to naturebox.com/RJP for that free trial. You know you're going to have a snack, so get smart about it. Be as smart as one of the king of the nerds, and go to naturebox.com/RJP for your free trial box of delicious snacks. So we're going to have the Indiana Jones challenge where it is going to be Colby versus Ori. And again, the Indiana Jones part of the challenge was very fun. I enjoyed it, but really other than, swinging the whip and knocking the gun out, that was all, pretty tame. The snakes, I have to say, were pretty cool. Were you impressed with the snakes, Brendan?
Oh, absolutely. The fact that they had real snakes.
Yeah, that was very good.
That was something they had to have meetings about this on the show about bringing in a snake handler, and I feel like that's like a big deal for them. That's cool. Like you said, I like the Indiana Jones stuff. Only real disappointment I think for me with the Indiana Jones thing was I thought that one of the parts of the challenge in order to whip the thing down and get their bags, I thought that if they had like a middle stage where they had to dive into a refrigerator and roll down the fridge. I think that would have been a really great another reference for them to work in from a beloved Indiana Jones movie.
See, I would have liked if there was a part where there was some sort of Shankara stone that was buried in something, and they needed to stick their hand in and be Molaram, Sularam.
That should have been what they got the bag out of.
Yeah, and then pull a heart out, and then that would have been cool.
Yes.
Were either of you impressed with Colby's Walter Payton like moves, by the way?
Yes, he ran up the hill at a 60-degree angle.
Probably the wrong demo for the Walter Payton references, Colby, but
Yes. Well, Colby knows everything.
perhaps we're stereotyping. Oh boy, does he.
Yeah, well, we talked about this at the top of the show that we've got faked out by the edit if it looked like it was going to be Ori pulling it out. Would either of you guys have done okay at this challenge?
Oh no, I mean, the thing that I didn't really understand was the sort of criteria of who they were picking. I mean, maybe I just need to brush up my history a little better, but it seemed like there was nothing really specific about who they were grouping together other than just like, these are notable historical figures. I mean, unless you could say like they created something, they had a work. But yeah, I didn't really understand the connection between like, yeah, we had Gandhi, we have Mary Shelley, the author of Frankenstein, was one of the people, and like Stephen Hawking. I wasn't seeing the exact clear through line with these 10 people.
They were all scientists minus Mary Shelley, from what Ori said on the nerd podcast that he just did.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you gotta be really smart.
And the thing is, with this challenge, the way I would have approached this is I would have split this up into 2 different groups. One of them being people that you could have seen in like historical photos, and ones that you couldn't. So I would put the historical photos in the later half, and then like the ones that you probably didn't see photos of in the beginning half, and then just prayed at that point.
The strategy I would have worked would have probably been people I think I've heard of, and people I definitely haven't heard of.
There you go. That's a good way to go. All right, so ultimately it was going to be Colby who wins. Ori goes home. He was going to always treat his neighbors as they would treat you, right?
Something to that effect. I didn't get exactly the quote he said. I was a little confused about that.
All right, well, Ori is gone, and we will miss him.
Yeah, in terms of entertainment value, he was one of the quirkier characters they've had on the show. Of course, like we've been saying, we're not apologizing for his ugly, gross sexism from the first episode. We just find him again an oddball for this show, and he'll be missed going forward in the second half of the season.
I feel like we got whatever we were going to get out of him.
I don't know. I don't know. That's what I thought about Todd last week. I don't know. I think we maybe had another episode or two to wring out some Ori.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and talk about what Jonathan's next move is here next week. Where do we go from here?
I think Jonathan's next move is probably firming up this 4 with himself, Colby, Caitlin, and Rachel, and then he sits back and does nothing.
Yeah. Smart. So, look, let me just reset the teams here. So next week we have a team of, it's going to be, we have Amanda, we have Jonathan, we have Heather, and we have Colby. That's Team Smash, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then we have on the other side of the island, Team Hulavu, we have Lily, we have Ben, we have Rachel, and we have Caitlin. So it's going to be 4 on 4 next week.
Correct. Okay. So he has the alliance, the Secret Six alliance that he has with the 2 people on the one team and the 3 people on the other. He's the member of the 3rd team, and then he has the 2 stragglers from Hulavu and Smash. Which again, if this is a real thing and he can solidify this as a sub-alliance, I guess, then that's a good spot for him.
Here's the problem, though. If Rachel is in both alliances, what if Rachel isn't on board with this? Could she narc on him? Could she rat him out to the rest of the Secret Six?
Rachel is absolutely the wild card because Rachel, then also being a girl, could be part of this potentially threatening women's alliance or women's subgrouping in this alliance that is sort of always on the horizon and that even the hosts of the show are trying to warn the guys about. So yeah, she's definitely the wild card here.
Yeah. Could Jonathan end up being the next person sent into the Nerd Off?
I think that's very possible. It sounded like for a minute tonight he was thinking about trying to make a push for himself to go into the Nerd Off, which would have been a terrible move. But again, probably not one I would have not entirely expected from Jonathan, sadly.
Okay. I think this is going to be very exciting.
Yeah.
Do you think that the group of women, Mark, the 4 women in the Secret Six, do you think that they are still as tight as when this thing first started, or do you think that the Ben influence has sort of driven a wedge between the women?
I definitely think that there has been a wedge. I wouldn't necessarily say it was Ben. It might have been some of the challenges, like the cosplay, and then like this week with the nerd anthems. The line obviously being between Lily and Michelle, but at the end of the day, they do understand that they've been picking off the men. You might as well pick off the other men. So I really think that it might be possible that they might crack, but there's also a chance that they don't. It really just depends on who gets sent into the nerd off this next week. If Team Smash goes in, I think that would be the more interesting possibility because we have Jonathan and then we have Amanda and Heather. With the other side, I'm not necessarily interested in seeing who would go in, but at the same time, there's still possibilities of like, who's going to go against Kaylin and who's going to go against Colby. It's really, there's a lot of different possibilities. I believe someone said it, there's like 30. Jonathan said there was like 10,000 different permutations about who's going to get sent in, or something like that.
A lot of permutations.
The big question mark, for this is it's what is the state of the women in the house? We kind of need the show to give us that as sort of like a pulse taking of how are the women in the house getting along? What is the relationship like between them? Is there a willingness for them to work together or not? Because I think that is going to influence a lot of the speculation on our part of how certain players are going to do going forward.
Hold on, have we gotten mention of the Women's Alliance since episode 1?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't think we have, certainly not very clearly. So it would be nice to get kind of a checkup on that because otherwise it's hard to predict what the relationship still is between the women in the Secret Six.
All right, let's take a couple of quick questions from the listeners of our King of the Nerds wrap-up. Ken Crowner wants to know, did you guys lose as much love/respect for Moby as I did tonight? Well, you are the number one Moby fan.
Yeah, I still love Moby with all my heart. I mean, things were sour tonight, but I'll get over it. I'll put on some Moby records, and we'll mellow out. I'll call him in the morning, and then everything will be just fine.
I like it more now.
I think he's certainly proved himself to be an entertaining judge. I think it would be fun if they brought him back next season. It would be nice if maybe they paid him a little more, and he would seem like he wasn't just checking his watch the entire time. But he was a fun assignment for the show. If they want to do Nerd Anthems again next season, which they should, by all means, the return of Moby.
Like, I had no interest in Moby whatsoever before tonight, but now if I saw a show where it's like, Moby's going to be on Jimmy Kimmel or Moby is going to be on with Howard Stern, I would definitely hear what Moby has to say because I'm like, he's an a-hole. It would be good.
Yeah, because the thing is with Moby, and he actually showed personality. That's the thing that I really was kind of, he may have been a dick, but at least he showed personality compared to some of the other judges that we had in the past. I mean, what did Yaya Han do last week? Or
Winnie Cooper?
Yeah, or Winnie Cooper. What did they do compared?
Winnie Cooper was there to be nice. I think Moby got bored and decided that he was going to be a Moby Dick.
Yeah, at least he showed personality, and I'm with you guys. Let's have him on.
I think Moby should be the host of the show with Curtis.
Come on.
Yeah, Curtis and Moby.
You dare to insult my Twitter buddy, Bobby.
Yep. All right, Scott Green wants to know, any hope for Colby besides winning every remaining nerd off the rest of the way?
No, not really.
No. Yeah, but I would say this. I think on paper, I think he might have a better chance against most. I mean, he will have a better chance against a lot of these people. So if he has to win, if he has to pull an Aussie and go on this huge run, I think it's possible for him.
And one more question. Dan Sinensky wants to know, how do you feel about the motifs of Caitlin's horse last episode and Ori's knight this episode, Brennan?
Okay, I like the horse because the horse kind of came out of nowhere. It's like the editors just kind of stumbled onto vague horse references last week that kind of came through a few confessionals. And they just had the horse running across the background. I thought that was amusing. I thought that was funny that they kind of picked up on this and they really kind of overplayed it. Tonight, I felt like they leaned way too hard on the Squire thing. That was not funny the first time they did it, not funny the second time they did it, and boy was it not funny the third time they did it. I thought that they leaned a little too hard on that, and by the end of it I was like, okay, I think we got it, Squire. Not so funny.
Like we're headed towards a attack and Berkey, and oh boy,
the Squire.
All right, so that's King of the Nerds for this week. Need a hashtag.
Hashtag Tingle Bunnies.
Tingle Bunnies.
Tingle Bunnies.
There you go. Yes, thank you, Gym Class Heroes, for that. All right, so next week, we're going to do something a little different. I'm not going to be here for next week's King of the Nerds episode. I'm going to be in the midst of my move, but we will go ahead and still bring you an episode next week, but it will be an episode without me. So, are you guys going to be up to the challenge?
We are up to it. Like Team Hulavu in this challenge, I think we will be better than absolutely bombing like Team Smash did. And if you're into that, then get ready for next week's wrap up.
Expect a lot of Hendrick references.
While I'm gone, I'm going to need somebody to take care of my snake.
Ooh. Why did it have to be snakes, Rob?
Yes. All right. Great job tonight, guys. Looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say in the comments. Follow these bros on Twitter. Brendan is at Brendan D. Noel. I got that right?
Correct. Row down about King of the Nerds with me on Twitter.
All right. And Mark is at Dawn's Bread on Twitter.
Yep.
There you go.
I will respond to you anytime, any day of the week.
Anytime? What if you're sleeping?
When he's not getting his hot and ready Little Caesars, because he's got to go out for that.
Yes. All right. Thanks, everybody, for checking out this podcast. We've got so much more coming up next week. Probably another 7 or 8 podcasts coming up into next week. If you are listening to this now, you can also check out my last couple of podcasts that I did at the end of last week, sort of snuck in under the radar. I talked with Dalton Ross from Entertainment Weekly about Survivor 30, about Celebrity Apprentice, a little bit about his cover story with Norman Reedus from The Walking Dead. Also, I sat down with Francesca Hoagie, not to talk about what it's like to be the first person to kick off with Survivor First 2 different times, but to talk about what it's like to have relationship issues. And certainly I can relate to that. And we got some good advice from Francesca for Valentine's Day. So let me be the first to say to you guys, to you and yours, happy Valentine's Day.
Oh, happy Valentine's Day to you, Rob.
Yes, thank you so much. Happy Valentine's Day to everybody out there. And have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you again soon. Take care. Bye.